So Public Works and Infrastructure Minister Sihle Zikalala has announced a training and mentorship program in the country's built environment. The Young Professionals program aims to save government on consulting fees by building in-house design teams for project execution. But we will also discuss targeted plans by the ministry to attend to some of the country's most pressing infrastructure challenges. Minister, good morning and welcome to the program. Thank you very much for your time. So the program, the Young Professionals program, is intended to create this pipeline of qualified individuals with scarce skills to solve problems in the engineering and the built environment. Give us a quick summary of how it works.
Well, this is a program which, as the department, was initiated to address the imbalance that affect the built environment, wherein there are very less Africans, especially less women, who are in the professional services within the built environment. We are recruiting and training them through universities, through giving them bursaries, and at the end, we try to ensure that we absorb them in the department while others goes to the private sector. It is important that this sector is also transformed to reflect all demographics, but also because the built environment is going to be permanent and the skills that we need are always required. It is important, therefore, that we create more skilled young professionals. Hence, we started this program.
So I think what was also an interesting attribute was the, not only, as you say, just creating and building on a transformational agenda to pluck especially, women experts and kind of mentor them and make sure that they're available to government programs or whatever other programs that they'll be involved in. And I want to go to that aspect around this objective that you have of creating eventually in-house design teams that will be involved in project execution. And this is estimated to save departments, money in terms of consultation and so on. So just talk to us a little bit about that attribute.
Yes, if we have government projects, whether we're building either a police station or it's a court or a correctional services center, we have to have professionals who design and implement. Now we need to develop that in-house capacity to ensure that we don't depend on the private professionals, but we build the capacity in-house, right from those who deal with architect, quantity surveyors, project management, engineering, civil engineering, and all others. So we want to create that. But we've got a lot of properties and assets that we're also managing as the department. And therefore, time and again, we have to ensure that we respond to calls about the maintenance of those assets. It is where also we will be using these professionals.
So we understand that so far you've got almost 40 of these young professionals taking part in the program. You said that you're also looking for talent in different educational institutions. So is this a program that young people who might be in their course of study right now or might have graduated can voluntarily kind of apply for? Or is it only a talent spotting process that the department embarks on to, go to institutions and find these young people? Or is it a two-way process?
It is a two-way process where we are able to absorb those who are just applying, but also it is targeted. There are even schools which we have adopted to ensure that we broaden the participation, especially to rural areas and townships. We have a partnership with universities such as University of Johannesburg and the University of Pretoria University. So those are strategic partnerships where we work together on training and building skills for these young professionals.
So, Minister, what will a success in this program look like to you?
Well, it is promising. We hope we will be able to absorb all of those who have taken through this bursary scheme, and we believe that it is going to be a sustainable program going forward, because we've been able to in-source some of the beneficiaries already, and we are looking forward to ensure that there is no one who's trained in this program who at the end become unemployed. We would want to see all young people who go through this program getting full employment.
Minister, it comes at a time when we are heading for the precipice, so to speak, when it comes to infrastructure failures. If you Google infrastructure backlog South Africa, you get 2.3 million results. The South African Institution of Civil Engineering said in its State of Infrastructure report, South Africa was at risk of becoming a failed state. So infrastructure backlogs also have an unintended consequence of forcing people to move to other cities to look for jobs and livelihoods. What other targeted programs do you have, Minister, under your belt and under the department's belt to make sure that we deal with these myriad and extensive problems? And I'll go into some of the detail in just a moment, but just high level, what can you say to South Africans that on some of South Africans that on some of these big issues you are making progress and there is a plan?
Yes, we are working hard to ensure that we address the concentration of infrastructure development, wherein the infrastructure is in cities, big cities only. We want to decentralize to secondary cities and rural areas so that people will be able to get services there. But if you provide infrastructure, you are able also to generate other economic sectors. So we want to ensure that there is a spread of infrastructure throughout the country. Hence, we are pushing hard that all projects that have been stalled must be expedited and completed. We are also working in building this capacity so that it becomes easy and more cheaper to deliver on projects that are much needed in rural areas and townships.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, talking about the store projects and looking at how to expedite that. And, of course, there was that recent SIDSA conference which was dealing with the issue of infrastructure, the opportunities and the investment that is needed to get South Africa out of this kind of hole that it's in. But the impact of infrastructure failures, Minister, is massive. When we think of GDP growth and how sluggish our economy is, we need every win that we can get. Various studies peg a turnaround, for example, at Transnet, just Transnet, and the fixing of its infrastructure at an almost 5% benefit to GDP growth. There was another study that found that Transnet's collapse is set to cost the country R1 billion a day in economic output, and this is again equivalent to 4.9% of our annual GDP. The number's around 353 billion rand. It's like a unicorn. What projects then, the things that are the low-hanging fruit, that are within your purview to do, what are some of those that you can share with our viewers that are set to bring some of that economic growth back into our GDP?
Yes, maybe before even answering that, what also affects infrastructure is the failure to maintain and repair the existing infrastructure and to continuously develop it. Hence, we are working hard and we are insisting that in each and every department that is dealing with infrastructure, we must allocate at least 8% for repair and maintenance. In terms of the projects that are going to unlock economic growth, we are working hard on logistics projects that will see the roads development, rail development, and I'm sure you would have seen that there are also interventions to ensure that ports are properly developed and modernized. So we are working on those projects through Infrastructure South Africa.
Well, there's also the shortfalls in municipalities, Minister, besides the human pain of walking in streets that run with sewage or, contaminated water systems. Based on international best practice, South Africa has a backlog of about 20 to 40 billion in each of the water, sanitation and electricity sectors. This is in municipalities, so there's a great need there. Again, share with us targeted projects, well invested and inclusive of transformation, are being deployed.
Yes. What is important for our municipalities is to ensure that we use the intervention that comes with the district development model, which talks to the shared model services, where even smaller municipalities get supported at a district level by the departments that are there, as well as other organs of the state. So it is important that when we plan comprehensively and together. There are projects, especially the road project. You would have seen us going to open some of district or rural bridges. There are also road development projects that are focusing in smaller municipalities.
All right, Minister, thank you very much for talking to us this morning. Appreciate your time. That is the Public Works and Infrastructure Minister, Sihle Zikalala.